you ready to do this?
Yes, sir.
All right.
All right, can you hear me? Is this thing on? Oh, yeah, just. Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, first things first, we don't have a lot of time, as always. So, find us on the Twitter. We're here after this. I'm doing a book signing, I think, at the Pivotal booth for my last book, but I've got a new book coming, so that's confusing. The code is all there in that Git repository. So, find it. Did the lights just come back on? I like it when it's, there you go. Turn it off, Let it out a little bit. Just relax. Get the music on. It's that time of day. Sangria o'clock. All right. So, yeah. Hi, buddy.
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
Yeah.
Ray Tsang from Google.
Yep.
Woo!
Yeah, and happy to be doing this talk together.
Yeah.
At Google, we, for Google Cloud, we have many services that you can use that fits probably almost of your needs. But one of the things that I tried to do was to try to make some of these services a lot easier to use. And so at Google Cloud, we started this new project called Spring Cloud GCP. It's been going on for about 1.5 years now, I think.
Yeah, it's been fun too.
It's been awesome, and we are working with the Pivotal engineers as well to make some of these really nice integrations.
And this is what he's saying, and this is important. There are people at Google who are paid full-time to work on things to make Spring's lives easier, Spring developers' lives easier, right?
Yeah.
So there's people tasked with this. It's not just, as much as we'd like to be able to follow along as fast as Google is going, we don't have to, right? It's just being taken care of for us by the team. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Somebody is sending me a message, and I think that's kind of silly. All right, so good stuff. So we're going to talk about Google Cloud.
Yeah.
Right? Where do you? I think it's worth maybe logging into Google Cloud. Is that fair?
Sure. Yeah. So how many people here are using Google Cloud or used Google Cloud before?
Who's heard of it?
Who's heard about Google? Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Not bad, not bad. Yeah, so for Google Cloud Platform, we have a lot of different things. Like we got the basics like virtual machines, and if you are into containers and Kubernetes, you can run that as well. That's all managed for you. And we have services from machine learning to big data, so you don't have to really maintain any of the infrastructure. And that's really the goal in the cloud, right? You can bring and run your own environments, but at the end of the day, it's probably really nice if you don't have to manage your infrastructure and being able to just use the services that we provide.
Right. And and infrastructure, that's a good point. Did you notice that there's a Steam thing going on there? That's interesting. I hope you can see that. I'm not the only one seeing that, right?
It's not fire, that's for sure.
Okay, like where there's smoke, there's fire. So infrastructure is a great point, right? We want to be able to run applications. Google Cloud is great at running Cloud Foundry. It's great at running Kubernetes. I can run applications like stock standard Spring Boot applications, a number of different ways there without any pain. And so then once that's out of the way, what can I focus on? Well, I can focus on the things that mean, the things that I want in my application, the things that support what I'm trying to do in my software, right? Yep. Services, infrastructure, operations, these kinds of things that are just tedious to manage myself, the life cycle of which I don't want to think about. So to have Google Cloud do that is interesting, and I think today we're going to talk about a number of different things. We're going to go from some things that you could do in a regular sort of non-Google Cloud place, right? You could, in theory, if you wanted to, if that was your inclination. But it's just easier to let Big G manage it for you, right?
Sure.
And then we're gonna move to some things that are unique, I think,
right,
to Google Cloud. And then we're just gonna talk about some of the things where it's clear that somebody else thought about this stuff. It's stuff that you could probably approximate with a lot of really just way too much extra work, right? And it's just nice to not have to worry about it. And then there's some things that you definitely can't do anywhere else.
And I think one of the things I hope that you will see is that through some of these integrations, especially through the abstraction that Spring gives you, you're not really tied to the Google Cloud services at all. Because through some of these generic abstractions, you're writing Spring code, and you can run the same code on Google Cloud or in another service as well. And if you need to switch any of the backends, you can without having to change all of the code base. So
in a lot of places,
really nice place.
Spring gives you portability here,
okay.
But it also doesn't deprive you of the if you want to, if you want to like use these APIs to their fullest, that's there as well. We're not trying to hide power from you. Okay, so first things first, let's start by building an application. We're going to build a Spring Boot application, and I'm going to do so. The first thing I want to do is I'm going to build an application that talks to a SQL database.
Okay. Yep.
I've got Google Cloud Platform here. I happen to have a nice account with all sorts of Actually, price, if price is an issue, Google pretty routinely comes in cheaper for a lot of things. But that's besides the point. I happen to have unlimited spend, so I like to just create things and see what happens and see who sends me a notification from Pivotal saying, hey. So what we're going to do is we're going to create an application that talks to, let's just start with something simple and familiar, a database.
Database, like a SQL server,
right.
MySQL.
MySQL, something like that. And so you go to the Google Cloud Platform, you can create an account. Can they create a free account or anything like that? Or?
Yeah, you can actually create an account right now, and you get free credits. I think it's $300 credit if you are able to register.
$300?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not saying that there's a competition or anything going on here, but I did a talk about Azure this morning, and they only had $200.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, well then.
Maybe,
that's good to know. I didn't know that. I never had to sign up for that before.
Maybe it was 200 euros. Either way, that sounds like a bigger. I'm an American, so my math isn't great, but 300, as far as I know, is bigger than 200. So I'm going to create a SQL data store. I'm going to go to SQL, and you've got some good options here. Create an instance if I wanted to. I'm not going to do it. Right. You've got two very, very venerable options. How many of you are using one or either of these, one or both of these things? MySQL or PostgreSQL?
Nice.
Good stuff. Oh, yeah. Wow. Okay, so very,
I
think a plurality at least.
Right.
I've got an instance. This actually, to my chagrin and my embarrassment, you're going to see us work with and interact with things that are globally distributed later on. Not this isn't it right now. And those things take no time at all to spin up. But for some reason, this takes minutes, like actual solid lifetime minutes of your life, So I'm not going to spin up a new instance live, even though I could. And so I've got an instance of this database here on my local machine, behind the scenes here, reservations mysql.db, or mysql.db. Also, you notice I've got this shell down here, right? I like this shell. It's a shell based in the browser. It's a browser shell. It's a bell. No, it's
called a cloud shell.
Cloud shell.
Yeah.
So it's a cloud browser shell. And the point is I'm logged into an account that's already got all of the gcloud tools set up. So I can actually, if I wanted to interact with the API, I could do gcloud and then what? Info? What is it?
Why don't we do a SQL Connect?
SQL Connect, okay.
And then you can connect to the SQL instance that you just created.
That one?
Like that, yeah, exactly.
And that'll take a few minutes in the background there.
Right.
But it's going to actually log me into my account. So if I wanted to administer my database, I could do that. That's just interesting that you have that there. So if you're not sure about something and you really want to do it, you can do that. Instance is being updated.
So what happened behind the scenes is that when you spin up a MySQL or PostgreSQL, obviously you don't want this to be on public internet where anybody can get access to it. So what happens behind the scenes then is that we will firewall this off. So when you use the gcloud command line behind the scene to connect to the SQL instance, we will actually configure and open up a connection for you securely. And to do that, that's why we need to kind of add like an IP address temporarily. But then we do these things transparently from the gcloud command line for you, so you don't have to deal with it, right? And now you're all logged in. You do have a database. That's good.
Yep. Yeah. So I've got a database called reservations. We've created this up front. I'm going to say describe the table called reservations. There you go. It's got an ID field and a name field. It's all managed for me by the cloud. Good stuff. Now I want to connect to this from my application. And so I've got an instance connection name. And I'm going to use that when I create my Spring Boot application. So let's go back to start.spring.io. And we're going to create a new application, call this GCP. I'm imaginative like that. We're going to use the GCP support. I'm going to use GCP messaging and GCP storage. Okay. Lombok, web. We want JDBC, and we're using MySQL, right? So I'm going to bring in the MySQL dependency as well. And I think that's enough for now. Now, GCP support is actually going to activate the Bill of Materials Maven bomb. So even though there's a good deal, many more, and I mean a good deal, many more, like just a crazy, you'll be up all week just trying to remember. It'll never end. You'll find that there are more dependencies for Google than there are sands in the universe, grains of sand in the universe. But that said, There's a good deal many more than we have supported here on the initializer. That's okay. You just need to know their artifact ID, and then the group ID is usually the same, and the version, you don't have to worry about it because it's managed by the bill of materials dependency that gets brought in from GCP support.
Right.
Fair?
Yeah.
Okay. Hit go, and we're going to build an application that talks to the SQL data store that we've just talked about, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So LSLA. Okay, CD downloads. Okay, what's that? I don't know. Excuse me.
Oh.
Awkward. That was so last hour. Totally different talk. I've moved on. Okay, so here we go. Start that up.
There we go. Okay.
It's already written. Oh, that's Kafka. I was going to say, that was,
Yeah.
You're really good.
Wrong application right there.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. That is
But I think ours is quite empty right now.
Right.
There's probably nothing there.
one hopes. I mean, unless
Yeah.
you're like amazing.
And you did the Spring Boot 2.1.5, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome.
There it is. So we're using the latest and greatest Spring Boot JDBC, Spring Boot Starter Web, Starter, Pub Sub, Storage. The key bit here is the Spring Cloud dependencies.
Yep. So we're actually part of the Spring Cloud release train. So that's why over here in the dependency in the bill of material, you just have to include the Spring Cloud like when which release, and you get all of the dependencies version managed for you. Of course, you don't include the dependency unless if you explicitly declare it. So for example, for Cloud SQL, you do need to include the Cloud SQL dependency in order to use it.
MySQL.
Yeah. Now, of course, you can connect to Cloud SQL by JDBC driver directly, but that may require you to open up some ports. So if you want to have internal private IP access, which you can, then you just use a regular JDBC driver. However, if you want to connect it from the outside or the securely from another cloud or just from your laptop, then you can use our starter, which is the Cloud SQL starter. By doing that, we will actually authenticate yourself, your application against Google Cloud and establish a secure tunnel, which then you can connect to our database without having to go through the regular public access. Okay?
Okay, so I got the database name. I need the spring.datasource.url.
You need you need the GCP SQL instance name. That's what you need.
GCP instance. Nope, wrong one. SQL.
Yeah, instance connection name. So if you scroll down into the console, you need this entire string that uniquely identifies this database instance.
And then I need the password.
Yes, you do need your username and password. Now, typically, there's no password, but Josh, I think we set one for you.
Yep, just so it's secure. I didn't want people to...
Exactly. Yeah, your password is totally secure.
Very secure.
Right now.
Okay.
Yeah, nobody sees this right now.
It's a secret.
Yeah, but your database name is a little incorrect. So if you go back there, you need to add, I think your database name is actually reservations. Is that right? So if you go to database right there.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think your database is called reservations.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
Yep.
Good stuff.
Okay. So as you can see here, even though we have some Google Cloud specific attributes, you can also use Spring Data Source to configure everything else, like connection pooling, username and password, and stuff like that. Okay?
Okay, so we're going to create a bean. It's going to be an application ready event. It's going to listen for that event, MySQL. And of course, in order to talk to that data store, I'm going to use a venerable JDBC template from days of yore. And I can add a constructor, or I can just use Lombok and use the required args constructor. And all I want to do is I want to say, call this database and query for it. So select all from reservations tables.
Yep.
Is it reservations? I don't know. We'll figure it out. New row mapper. And the row mapper is going to map data into a type of static class reservation. Okay, so private integer, maybe, yeah. ID and private string name. And I'm going to say @data, @allargs constructor, @noargs constructor. And we're going to visit each one of those, return new reservation. Nope, not quite. And type it. Alrighty, new reservation. And it's going to be our result set.get integer ID and result set.get string name. Okay, and that just returns a lambda. Good stuff. Okay, so I'm now going to visit each one of those. I'll say query.forEach, and I'll just log it out. And I'll do that with a logger that I'm going to synthesize using Lumbach. Alrighty. Good.
Okay. Now, did you add the starter into your pom.xml?
I think I did, didn't I? Didn't I?
Oh, that's nice. Yeah,
Sweet.
very good.
So let's run that and see what we get. Good stuff.
Let's see. So what's going to happen next is that in the log over here, if everything works out fine, let me see if I can zoom in. Right here, you can see that just by adding the dependency and also some of the Google Cloud specific configuration, we're actually obtaining an ephemeral certificate that can then establish a secure connection into your database, right? So this is done all automatically behind the scenes for you, which is pretty cool. And the reason that this is authenticated is because of the gcloud command line that Josh had already installed, and that is already authenticated with his username so that we can establish this authentication as well.
Right.
Yeah. And if you don't want to use gcloud command line, if you're running this on a server, then you can download what we call a service account, which is a credential file that you can put in, securely somewhere on your data path, and you can set an environmental variable to point to it instead. Okay. Cool. So did that work? Did it connect? Well, it certainly connected. Oh, that's many connections right there.
Wow.
Yeah, I think you should probably limit the connection pool a little bit.
Connection pool.
Yeah,
oh, yeah.
So if you go to application,
Hikari connection pool size.
it's called the max, where is it?
Max.
Yeah, max pool size. Let's set it to 2, yeah.
Okay, where's the results though? I don't see. Do we not have data in there?
Well, you have some data in there.
I don't know. We never actually got that far. Let's see.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
From
Let's see.
Reservations.
Is there any data? Oh, come on, there's nothing in there.
Okay, so
that's probably why.
Into reservations, name, values. Excuse you. Single quote, right?
Sure. I don't write SQL anymore. I don't remember any of this. Oh, there we go. Yeah.
So now we've got that, and the query I had in there was reservations.
That's
Good.
right. Yeah.
Restart.
Okay.
You should see the new updates there.
Yep.
Alrighty.
So now we're using the Spring Data Source properties to limit the connections, and oh, not bad.
Okay. Now I like SQL. I think it's got a future. Just it's controversial, but let's be honest. If we're on a platform like Google Cloud, I want some of that Google Willy Wonka factory magic, man. I don't want to just anybody can spin up a SQL data store.
That's kind of true.
What do you got that like? How can I kick it up a notch? What's a really compelling offering here? I've heard things.
You heard things, yeah.
So
I think what you heard, so with SQL Server, of course, you're running, like everybody knows how to use these, right? MySQL and Postgres and all of these services. But they are typically going to be restricted into a single zone. So in the cloud, you have the zone in which participates in a region, and the region may have multiple zones that's really close by. And then you have multiple regions within like an area like Europe, who have multiple regions here. But then if you actually need to span out your data to across the world, then having a single SQL instance doesn't really work anymore, right?
Yeah, but as soon as I do that, I run into problems with like consistency of my data, right? Because the CAP theorem and all that stuff, right?
So in some cases, what people do is to use something like a NoSQL server, right? And then you try to span this across the world. Now, did you know, Josh, Light is actually really, really slow?
It is slow, yeah.
It's actually slower than I expected.
Right.
In fact, I didn't realize this until I talked to my colleague, James Ward, who told me, did you know a round trip between like America and Japan with just Light is actually about 70 milliseconds. 70 milliseconds. Yeah. That's very low for latency, right? So that's where you get into all these consistent issues. Now, what we have is something called Spanner, or Cloud Spanner, which is a globally distributed database. So you can run Spanner in a regional way, so you can run it just in Europe, or you can run it in a globally distributed way, where you have Spanner instances across the world, in Asia, in Europe, and in America, and the data will be automatically replicated for you, and we can actually do strong consistency even in this multi-regional setting. That's just pure magic to me. And one of the reasons why this will work is because of the atomic clock that we actually have in the data center. So in order to get really, really accurate timing of when things are happening, we actually have atomic clocks that's actually keyed to the geolocation of the data center, which is quite amazing. Now, to use Spanner, it's actually really, really simple and straightforward. If you have an existing application like this one, what I'm going to do is to
It's nested.
yeah, let me see here. Yeah, it's nested. Okay. So what I'm going to do is to just get rid of SQL for now. So I'm going to get rid of the starter here. So maybe I don't want SQL
How do you need
right
to get
now.
rid of that?
Oh, huh? What's that?
We're not using a repository. You can just.
Oh yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. So let's keep going. So let's see here. Maybe I am going to just come out the code, right? So I'm going to.
It's not a public type.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm gonna comment this out for now because I don't want the SQL stuff right now. Okay. So let's do that. Okay. And then for the reservation here.
Hey man, just create a new class.
What? Where?
Just leave it alone.
Okay. Yeah. Sure.
Just create a new component
Okay. Okay.
below it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, all right. So this is what I'm going to do then. So I'm going to copy and paste this whole thing. How's
There you
that?
go.
Ah, okay.
Now you've
So,
got a spanner demo.
so now I have got, yeah, all right. So I'm going to do a spanner demo right here. All right.
Oh yes.
All right. So we're going to keep the same class here with the static class, but we're going to do object mapping directly from reservation to a spanner
Can you do
database
that for
instead.
nested types? I don't think you can. I put it in nested because I wanted
Yeah.
you to be able to have the top level reservation.
Okay. So we are going to try this out. So spanner demo right here. Okay. So we're going to try this out. Okay. So one of the easiest things to do is to add the starter for it. So we do have a cloud spanner starter, which I can use like this. And it's called the data spanner right here. Okay. And of course, we don't need to specify the version because all the versions are being managed by the BOM. So that's all you need to do. Now, with Spanner, of course, you need an instance. We're going to go ahead and create a new Spanner instance with a new database and a schema. Okay, so we're going to do that hopefully fairly quickly. So if I go back to my console here, I can go and find the Spanner resource right here.
Yeah.
And you already have a reservations created. But you know what, Josh? I'm going to spend your unlimited dollars here. So I'm going to say Spring demo, something like that, right? So that's the instance. The new instance name. And then here we can, of course, pick whether we want a regional instance or a multi-regional instance. Okay? What do you think? So the multi-regional instance, we can span across North America, Europe, and Asia.
That's like a horizontal band.
Yes.
It's not north and south, but it's east and west all the way around.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And we can run one node in each of the zones or the region, and we can just go and create it.
$9 per hour.
Multi-regional, highly available.
Sounds like a lot, but that's like 2 lattes.
Well, we're going to be done with this talk in like 40 minutes, so
Right, yeah.
it wouldn't be that much.
That's fine.
Yeah. So let me go ahead and create a new database here. I'm going to call it, what was it called, reservations? Is that what we did? Yeah.
I've got enough money to last me the rest of my life as long as I die next Tuesday.
Well, let's not hope that that's not what's going to happen. All right, so I'm going to create a new table called reservation. And as you can see, everything's GUI driven if you want it. Right, so I'm going to say the primary key. Now in Spanner, you don't want to use auto increment ID because that is not very good for the distributed database. What you want to do is using a UUID that's actually randomly generated. In fact, anything that's increasing monotonically is not a good ID in Spanner because in some of these databases, you're going to run into hotspotting for that matter, okay? So, and what else you got here? Reservation name of the reservation. Okay, I'm going to make that a string as well, okay? And then we can set the primary key as ID. Now, of course, if you don't want to do this in the GUI every time you need to create a database, you can use the schema as well.
Right, and that looks remarkably SQL-like.
Yeah, that is because Spanner is actually a relational database. It's not a NoSQL, but it's a globally distributed, highly available, strongly consistent SQL database.
Ish.
Yeah. So let me go ahead and create this new instance and the new table.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see, create. So just remember what happened. I just created a globally distributed database and to create the table for it. And now let's go ahead and see what we can do to make this work. So for reservation, we can use the Spanner annotation here with that's called table. Uh-oh, did it not bring in the what do you call it? The pom.xml? Uh-oh.
Do you have to rebuild?
Is it a rebuild or more of a auto import? Let's try to re-import a little bit. Yeah, and if all things fails, if there's a issue with the import, let's try here maven clean and package.
Sure.
And let's just make sure the pom is good, right?
There you go.
We needed to download a few things. Yeah. Okay. Well, the test works, but that's because we haven't written any code yet. Okay.
Right.
So let's go ahead and annotate this class. And where's my table annotation? That should be here. Table.
I found stable, if that's what you want.
Yeah, well.
You have to go back to your Maven build now and tell it to refresh. I think it is.
Oh, really?
Maybe.
Okay. All right, let's try this again. Is there, nope, there's not.
Click.
So, yeah, Maven and re-import.
Yes.
Okay. Well, hopefully, hopefully this is going to find it because without the table annotation, oh, there we go.
Ah, sweet.
Woo! All right, very nice. Yeah, so, and this will, of course, infer the name reservation will be the table name. And is that the one that I created? Yeah. But if you want to change the table name, you can as well. So I'm going to call it reservation. Just so you know, you can remap this. Now, for the ID, rather than an integer, remember we changed it to a string, so we can store UUID. And then for marking primary keys, now in Spanner, we actually can handle what we call a composite key. So we're going to use a primary key annotation. Then you can actually mark multiple columns as primary key if you want to. But right now we just have one, okay?
Good enough.
Yeah, pretty good. And then to access this database, of course, you can use, we have a Spanner template, just similar to the JDBC template. But we can do even more. We actually have full Spring data integration as well.
Right.
So we can do data repositories.
Ah,
yeah.
fancy.
Yeah, now,
Thickens.
now, Josh, I do need your help to get Spring data repository in here. I think I can never remember the name for it, but I want the REST one. Yeah.
It's already there.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, if you have it on Spanner dependency, it'll bring it in.
Not quite. I actually need the REST repository though. Can we do the REST repository?
Why do we need that?
Huh? Oh, because if you want to expose the repository in a CRUD RESTful manner, you can actually do the REST repository as well.
Spring boot starter data
Yep.
REST.
Okay.
Spring. I haven't used that in a minute.
You haven't used it for a while? Not the Mongo one, no. Okay.
Boot starter data REST.
Okay, very cool.
Let's see if that works.
Yeah, I think that worked. Just in case we do a re-import again. Okay, so if I go back to the Spanner database, the Spanner code, we should be able to do something like this. We're going to say.
Is that going to work inside the class though?
Oh, we're going to find out pretty soon.
Yo.
Yeah. Living on the edge, right? Repository extends, and we can, of course, use the Spanner repository, but we can also automatically infer that because we're using Spanner in this project, we can just use the paging sorting repository as well.
Yep.
And then we can give the name of the reservation and the ID type as well, and that is all you need to do. Now, if you want to, oh, right, I see what you mean. And if you want to expose this as a RESTful endpoint, you can just do repository REST controller, or REST resource. Yeah. But yeah, like Josh said, I'm not quite sure whether this is going to work as a nested class. No, you don't think so?
I think we've done it previously outside.
Yeah, okay. So let's go ahead and just move this outwards. How about that? Would that work better?
Better.
Okay, that's good.
Josh happy.
Yeah, Josh happy, then I think I will be happy too.
So we inject it in here and write some data.
Okay, so we can write some data, or you know what? Let's just run it, and then we can see the RESTful endpoint, and then we can put the data in that way. So I'm going to stop and run, and hopefully this will work. How many people think this will just start up with a CRUD resource? We can just write data to a globally distributed system.
Could be good.
No one. Yeah.
Could be good.
Well, we're going to see. Well, at least your SQL demo still works.
That's good. No, I'm a big fan. Like I said, that SQL stuff, it's probably going to be big one day.
Yeah, I think it's still big today. All right, so you do have the web resource, right? So we should be able to do something like this. We can curl localhost 8080.
Yes.
Right? Oh, look. Oh, hey, look, there's reservations.
Hypermedia API.
That's pretty good. So if I do reservations.
Nada.
Oh, what happened? Oh, you know what happened? It's because I didn't really connect. We didn't specify which Spanner instance I want to connect to, right?
It was so distributed. It's just like, I'm going to connect to everything. And then it said, wait a minute.
Yeah, exactly. So we do need to configure my reservation instance, right? So it's called Spring Demo, actually. And then for Spanner let's see here, database name is called reservations, right? And then we're going to talk to the reservation table, right? Let me just make sure I got everything right. All right, let's restart this. So for those of you who didn't raise your hand, that's good for you. That didn't work the first time.
Right, no, I was just testing you.
Yeah. Now, to test out this endpoint, I'm going to do something else. I'm going to create a test.htp. I don't know if you've done this before, but in here we can zoom in a little bit. I'm going to do a getter, right? So I'm going to do a get, let's see here, 8080. And let's just go ahead and get persons and see if this thing will work now. Oh, What? Oh, reservations, sorry. Yeah, not that one. Reservations, all right.
Okay.
So we do pair programming. All right, so it's actually establishing my connection to the spanner instance, which I just created. And the first request is a little slow just because of the connection is being established. And we're actually in. Oh my goodness, I'm very happy this is actually working.
Yes.
So let's go ahead and post something into this database. I'm going to say, let me post reservations, okay? And then we have an ID. Now remember, we needed to use UUID, so I'm just gonna make something up, doesn't matter. And then we have a name, and we're gonna say reservation for Josh.
All right.
Okay, and
I'm on the list.
You're on the list. Now let's do a post. And this just wrote the data into this globally distributed database. And if I go back to the database console, and if everything worked out properly, I can go see reservation. I just created it. And if I go see data, come on. Oh, there we go.
Sweet nectar.
Not bad.
I'm in.
Yeah, pretty good, right?
That's the first time I've ever been part of something cool.
Yeah. Just remind you, now you have a globally distributed database. What that also means is that you can actually run your application across the globe in a multi-regional fashion pretty easily as well.
For 2 lattes an hour.
Yeah.
All right, so good stuff. I like that. Now, I love the fact that it's globally distributed, but practically speaking, I'm not going to want to give out the credentials to my spanner database to everybody with whom I want to communicate, right? I'm probably still going to need to have some of those more traditional approaches to integration. And for that, I think messaging is a really fine choice. So what I'm going to show next is Google Cloud's PubSub support. Now, PubSub is you can think of it as a message queue, but it's not, right? It's make it smaller. And actually, Google search, I don't know if you know this, people, but Google has a side business doing search.
And you can search within the console too.
Right, and it works. It's okay. I mean, we'll see how they go.
But you found PubSub. Very good. Yeah.
Found this. So there's my existing topic. In the PubSub, you've got the idea of a topic to which you publish messages, and you have a subscription from which you consume messages, right? So I've got the subscription here. It's called reservation subscription. The thing it's connected to is called reservations. So I'm going to use that in my code here. And in order to do that, I have some configuration required, I think.
Actually, not quite. No. Yeah.
So
you're good to go. Yep. But you do need to add the PubSub starter to your application.
Right.
Yep.
Rid of that. Okay. pom.xml. Just copy and paste this.
Oh, actually, you got it right here.
Never mind. Yeah. I'm off to the races.
Sorry. Yeah. Because the reason it's there is because he added GCP messaging when he used the start.spring.io.
Right.
Yeah.
Happiest place on earth.
All right.
Okay, public void publish, or actually pub sub. And I'm going to do something a little silly. I'm going to create an example that publishes and sends messages in the same application, which is a little weird. Normally you'd have 2 things separated across by a network boundary and they communicate with each other that way. But, you know, YOLO. So private final pub sub subscriber operations or template subscribe. And we want the same thing, but for publisher.
Right.
Okay. Publisher. All right. And we want this to be injected into the constructor, so I'll use Lombok to make short work of that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to register a subscriber first. So I'm going to listen on the subscription side. That's called reservations subscription.
That's right.
Yeah. Come on. There you go. Okay. And I'm going to register a new consumer. Sweet nectar. And I want to get the message. So I have to acknowledge this, right? ACK or NACK.
Right.
Right? So I'm going to acknowledge it. Always remember to do that if you intend to keep the message consumed. And then I'm going to get the message, and I'm going to get the data, and then turn that into a string.
Into a UTF-8 string.
Get
to string UTF-8.
String, and there we go.
Yep.
Okay, so there's my message. Alrighty, good stuff. And I'm going to log that out. I'll say log.info. I'm going to use my logger, my trusty log4j logger, which has never left me. It's dutifully there. New message. Okay. Good stuff. Now, that's the consumer. I'm going to register that, and then I'll publish a message to myself. A very sad thing to do, if you think about it. It's a message in a bottle. So I'm going to send a message, and the message in this case is just going to be a string. I unpacked a string on this side, but the data doesn't have to be a string. The PubSub message has bytes. It could be whatever, right?
That's right.
I could even use it as a string and use JSON if I wanted to. But in this case, I'm just going to say Hola, Barcelona. Okay. Oh, no. Upside down
What happened?
exclamation mark Spanish. Makes it very difficult. Okay. So let's see. Okay. Looks good to you?
Yeah.
Okay. I should have stashed that to the side. You know, there's no risk in our demo. You know,
No.
this is such a foolproof demo. I have no fear about our demo doing massively distributed systems, connecting to cloud infrastructure thousands of miles away. That I have every confidence will work. But Unicode.
But Unicode.
Yeah.
But you did say to UTF-8 string, so.
It didn't work.
Huh? Wait, what happened?
Exclamation mark.
What are you looking for?
This.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
It has to be
Got it.
upside down.
Yeah, I see. You can just I think you can just type I, no?
No. I mean,
It's not the same thing?
You could, but you would be wrong.
Okay.
Anyway. So did it work? There we go. I got a message.
Oh, nice. You do have
in
a message.
In Spanish. How cool is that?
That is pretty awesome.
It's like having a pen pal from Spain, which is myself. Good stuff.
Right. Yeah, not bad. That's really good. Awesome.
That's going to be big. That'll help me scale.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was pretty easy.
I think that, at this point, we've kind of exhausted all the really cool things that Google can help me with. It's not like you have some sort of artificial intelligence that I can use to read pictures or whatever, right?
No, not really. No. Yeah. Well, actually, but if you have a picture, we can tell you what's in the picture.
So you do have this intelligence.
Yeah, it's actually pretty smart. Yeah, do you want to give it a try?
Yeah.
It's really nice. But first you need to put the picture somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah. So there are a number of places where you can store like binary blobs, right? So imagine you're writing a new application, you need to store audio, photo, videos, or whatever. Then maybe you can put it. You don't want to put it on just a VM on the disk because then the disk will run out of space. On Google Cloud, you can put it into our storage. It's called Google Cloud Storage. It's really just a bucket store. So you can store just as much as binary data blobs as you want, and you don't really have to worry about the disk sizes at all because that's just a managed service for us. Okay. So I think Josh, I think I sent you some pictures earlier.
I'm getting them right now.
Are you trying to airdrop the
airdropping
photo
my
from your
photos.
phone to the presentation right now?
Yep. It's much easier than actually working.
Yeah, so we do have two pictures here. We have a dog and a cat.
Okay.
You want to rename that to
dog
and a cat?
Yeah. So this is more or less a cat, yeah.
Yeah.
And kitty, okay. Yeah. And then that means that by process of elimination, and I need that because that's a dog.
Yeah, I took a photo of both of these photos. Unfortunately, I don't have any of the pets, so that's kind of sad.
Okay, so now where do I go?
Yeah. You can go to Google Cloud Storage.
Storage, got it, good.
Yeah. And this is where you can store the binary data. Now you can create a bucket. So bucket is the top level storage, which is globally unique. So you can give it whatever name that you want. And you can again choose whether it's regional or multi-regional, depends on your need.
Okay.
And the bucket name has to be unique globally.
Okay.
So go ahead and just say create. Very nice.
Got it.
Yeah. In the bucket, you can create more directories if you want to, or you can just drag and drop your files into it.
Oh, actually, it's JPG.
Is it JPG? Yeah.
Should be.
Okay.
I mean, I'll forget.
I don't quite remember what I took the photos as, but yeah. Okay, cool.
Uploading.
Nice, very nice. And now you can use Spring to actually read these blobs. Okay. Now you can either use the Google Cloud API to do it, but we actually have really nice abstraction layer called GCP with the Spring resource, right? So I think we already have those starters already, right?
Right.
I hope.
Yeah.
I hope it's already there. Yeah. And what you can do is to use the URI, like that starts with gs:// and then you can point that to the bucket in the file location directly.
Oh, gs.
Yeah. // Yeah.
And then it's
exactly.
called Beautiful Animals.
Yeah.
And then
/ yeah, and maybe the cat.jpg.
.jpg.
Okay.
And that'll be a resource?
That will be a Spring resource, exactly. So you don't have to use the lower level API from Google Cloud. You can just use resource abstraction if you want to.
All right, okay, good.
Okay, so you want to inject both of them, yeah.
Okay, now I've got, I mean, it's cool that I can inject them and stuff, but like, what do I actually want to do with that? What could I do? How could I analyze this?
Yeah, so to analyze this, you can use our Vision API.
Okay.
So to do that, you need to, you can, of course, again, use our clone library to do it, or you can just add a Vision starter as well. So we do need to add it into your pom.xml this time.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
So in the starters, right? So as you can see, we try to make this very, very easy for folks to use, right?
This is
yeah, starter Vision, that's it.
crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, private, final, cloud,
Vision template,
all right.
that's the one, yeah. So behind the scenes, we automatically configure, again, your credentials, establish your API connections, and we give you this really nice abstract way to access it, okay?
Put that in here, so cloud vision template, this template equals template, good stuff.
Yeah.
And when the application starts up, should I process it? Can I?
Yeah, sure. So you can say.
And I need to store those resources as well, so private final resource, cat, dog.
Okay.
This dot cat equals cat, this dot dog equals dog, void, analyze, throws, exceptions. Okay, so this dot template, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Analyze image?
Yeah, and analyze image. There's only one. Yeah. Okay. And then you can select the different things you want to detect. So if you zoom in here a little bit, we have label detection. We can detect landmarks. We can see where the facial features are, for example, right? We can even do OCR. So if there's a text in the picture, we can actually extract it for you so you can know what is actually in the photos.
So what am I looking for here?
So for us, we're just going to, let's do the label detection. So this is going to be able to tell you what is actually in the photo or the picture that you have. Okay, and it's going to give you a response.
So do I get both? How do I do both? I guess I can just do both.
Then you can do two calls, right?
Okay.
With the lower level API, you can do a batch analyzation, so you can send in multiple files, and you can get multiple responses back as well.
And so what I want to do is I want to announce what I got back
Sure.
from that. So I'm going to say.
So you can just print it out if you want to.
Yeah. Okay. Why is this unhappy? Oh, I don't need that. I just need log for J.
Okay.
Good. And log cat response dot toString. Maybe?
Yeah, sure.
Log.info. Good.
Yep.
And dog response. Okay. Ready?
Yeah, yeah.
This is too easy.
It is pretty easy, yeah. But the response that you get back is if it works.
Well, yeah.
If it works.
Big if.
If it works, then I think it's going to be pretty impressive, especially if you never have done machine learning in the past, and or just don't want to deal with the machine learning code yourself.
Right. I'm all
you will have
about
APIs to use. Yeah.
So here's the dog.
Yeah. Oh, let's look at this. Yeah. So the dog is 99% sure that it was a dog.
Right. Okay. So it's got a score 99%
Yeah.
dog.
Yeah.
It's 99% that it's a pug.
Which is pretty right.
98% that it's a mammal. A little interesting.
Yeah.
A little interesting, given that it knows that it's a dog. It's pretty sure that it's a vertebrate, which is good.
Yeah.
Canine.
Canine,
of
yeah.
some sort.
Yeah.
A dog breed. It's got a
Yeah.
snout. That is true, sort of.
Yeah.
It's got skin. Oh, okay, Google. Coming in.
That one, I'm not quite sure why that's here, but
coming in a
85%
little hot
chance.
there, Google.
That's
All
pretty
right.
good. That's pretty good. Yeah.
All right. It's got a nose. Awesome.
Yeah.
And so, you know.
Yeah. So you can specify how many of these labels you want to get back.
Right.
I think by default we give you 10. Let's take a look at the cat.
And the cat is a cat. It's a mammal, and it's a small to medium-sized cat.
That's right.
It's a feline. It's got whiskers. It's an Aegean cat. What does that mean? It's like from Greece or something, or that region? I don't know.
Yeah.
Carnivore, short-haired cat, domestic, European short hair, all good stuff. And it's got a snout as well.
Just
Not
like a
bad.
dog. Yeah.
Not bad.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got all this cool stuff.
Yeah.
Of course, in the software that I build, nothing ever goes wrong. But I'm sure for you, in your software, there might be errors. And
For me personally,
yeah,
absolutely.
Ray
Yeah.
Tsang. So what would you recommend for those who, like you,
Yeah.
Occasionally run into issues in production.
So there are a few things you can use on Google Cloud. Well, first of all, if you're building microservices and one server is calling each other, like say if you have a REST controller that uses the REST template to call something else, you kind of want to trace and understand who's actually calling what and see like the code stack across the network. To do that, in Spring, you have something called Spring Cloud Sleuth, right? And we can actually use Spring Cloud Sleuth and store the trace data on Google Cloud so you don't necessarily have to run and manage your own Zipkin instances to see these traces, right? So we can do that. In addition to that, we have logging, a centralized logger. So all of your logs can actually go into a centralized place in Google Cloud as well. And the beautiful thing is that we can actually correlate your log messages with the trace data as well. So do you want to give this a try?
Nope.
I don't know if you have a lot of time, but... Huh?
You can do it. You've got this.
All right, so let's try it. So I'm going to say hello controller. So I'm going to just make a quick controller here. And this is a REST controller, of course. And I'm going to say a public string like hello or something like that. Hello. I can't get used to your keyboard. It's really hard to use, you know that, right? So I'm going to say hello plus the name, right? So I can do that. In fact, how did you do that magical log4j thing?
There you go, yeah.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Box.
So I'm going to log.info, and name is whatever, right? So I'm going to log in the name. And we also need to get the REST template in here so I can make the call. How did you do that one? So I'm going to say private final REST template. REST template, okay. And then the magical thing that you got here.
Required args constructor from
That
Lombok.
is pretty awesome. I like it. And then I need to get the REST template out somewhere. So I'm going to go back here. I'm going to say.
Now, why didn't you just create the bean in line right then and there?
Because if you created the bean, then our interceptor is not going to be able to inject the stuff into the REST template.
So you've got configuration that looks for a bean definition in the application context of type REST template and customizes it.
That's right.
So you have to declare it as a bean.
Oh, that's right, yeah. And what happens then is we will do the trace ID propagation for you automatically. So when you use REST template to make a call, we'll automatically add the trace IDs to the header as well. And that's all the out-of-the-box functionality from Spring Cloud Sleuth, actually. The one thing that we did change is where the trace actually go. Okay. And then let's just make another endpoint here. So this is a get, right? So it's get mapping. I'm going to say this is hello. And then let's do another one here. I'm going to call void. And I'm going to say oh, okay? And what this one will do is to just make a few calls to hello, right? So we can see the trace happening. So how did you do this here before? I'm going to stream off. I'm going to say Josh.
We can get the repository.
Right. Yeah, we could also. But let's just try this one out. Jisha is one of the coworkers of mine who wrote a lot of the Spring Cloud GCP as well. Anyone else that you want to say hi to? Yeah, well. James. Okay, James. Let's do that, James.
And then.
Okay.
I'm sure we can think of a million other people.
Yeah. So here we can have the name, and then for each other name, we're going to do a REST template. We're going to get for entity, for example, the URL, which is localhost 8080 hello, right? And name is equal to the name that we pass in.
Right.
And this is going to be a string class, because I don't really care about the response.
We just want the response.
Okay.
We just want the request.
Yep. Now to add the trace into it, this is what you do. You go to the POM, and of course we have starter for it. So, what just happened?
Easy there.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and add the trace starter. So here we have GCP starter trace. Okay. And that should be it. Oh, by the way, with Spring Cloud Sleuth, by default, it's going to only trace 10% of the request. So we're going to up it to 100% so we can see everything.
Right.
Okay.
And it's only 10% because you don't need more than that to see the big picture usually. But for our demo, I'm not gonna do 10 requests just so you can see one of them. We'll just do one so you can see one, or two so you can see two.
Yeah. So let's see if this works. I'm going to restart this again, and I'm going to make a few calls, and then we're going to be able to see hopefully the traces that came with this as well. Okay.
Oh, the tension.
Yeah, not too bad, right? Oh, your message is still there. Oh, that's because you're always sending the hello message all the time, right?
Message to myself.
Yeah, and we see the resource. Okay, let's give it a try. So here we have the test. HTTP. I'm going to go ahead and do get HTTP localhost 8080/o. And I'm sweating here because I'm not quite sure if it's going to work. Oh, it kind of did. Okay. If I go back to the run here, We can see actually made the call. So we got Josh, Ray, Jisha, and James. Well, what else you can see here is that very clearly we have the trace ID that's being propagated across the call, and the trace ID is the same across the code stack, and then we got each of the code is a different span. But we also added the trace starter, so what that's supposed to do also is that if we go back to Google Cloud Console, and if we go to the trace feature here, I'm sweating here, and if I go to the trace list,
easy, buddy, easy. You've got this.
We kind of got this, right? If this actually worked, oh, there it is. So it does say localhost just now. So let me see if I can click into it. Oh, not bad. Yeah, usually the trace will show up in the dot, but for some reason it's not seeing it. But here we can very clearly see the entire code stack, just like that, by adding a simple starter to your application without adding any other configuration to it.
Awesome.
Yeah, pretty nice, right?
That's hot sauce, man.
Yeah.
Pound it.
Yeah.
Bam.
One
Drop
more?
the mic.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so what did we do? We saw how you can use Spring and Spring Cloud and Spring Boot to build applications that run ably on infrastructure like Google Cloud. Naturally, it is my every hope that you're going to use something like Cloud Foundry or PKS, Pivotal Kubernetes, Pivotal Container Service, or something on top of Google Cloud. But then once there, your apps are going to need to talk to interesting infrastructure. We've looked at how to build, how to talk to data stores, how to talk to Spanner, distributed multi-regional data store that has transactions. We looked at how to build applications that do pub/sub. We looked at how to build applications that do storage. We use the storage and talk to the storage API. We also looked at how to do crazy, mind-bending, futuristic, like the singularity kind of stuff for machine learning and image detection. And then finally, to operationalize it, we looked at Google Cloud's trace support.
Exactly.
So that was fun.
That was pretty awesome, right?
Fun. You had fun?
Yeah,
Thank you,
absolutely.
everybody.
Thanks,
We're
everyone,
happy
for being here.
Who learned something new? Who learned something new today? Good stuff.
Very
Okay,
nice.
right on.
Yeah. Check out the project. Give it a try. And absolutely wonderful. Thanks.
And I think I'm doing a book signing. At least I think I am. If not, either way, you should be coming to the Pivotal booth. I'm pretty sure I'm doing a book signing. Come there. Well, I think he'll be here. And he'll be with me there, and we'll answer questions and do all that stuff.
Yeah. Cheers.
Thank you so much, boys. It's now the after.